What is up, Sports Geeks? It's your host, Josh. You're back with an episode. It's been a while. I'm joined by Alec. Alec, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. It's good to be back. It's been a while. I know I was just telling you that, but we've been both getting situated kind of with the you just post graduation, so congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um, but yeah, we've both been kind of getting settled in with different positions. So here we are back with more, and we have had a wild NBA playoffs to witness. Not much time to record, but plenty of time to watch. Give me kind of your rundown on what happened in the playoffs and opinions on specifically the Nuggets getting the first title in 46 years as a franchise.
Yeah. So to kind of start off with kind of playoff summary, what I thought really surprised the Bucks lost. Bucks are my team that I thought were going to win. Giannis gets hurt, and Giannis getting hurt kind of changed the entirety of the playoffs. Because the Heat beat the Bucks, who were the Eastern Conference favorites. And the Heat
in the NBA championship favorites to start the playoffs.
The whole championship favorites, yeah. But
yeah,
you know what's crazy is just like that one first round series changed the whole entirety of the playoffs, and that's why I think the NBA playoffs is going to get more and more kind of like March Madness-y in a way. There's not a lot of super teams that are actually good anymore. I mean, we saw the Suns this year. We thought they were going to be really good. Turned out they weren't. They were kind of a super team. It's not going to be like the LeBron Heatles, I think, with super teams anymore. I think that people know how to build a team really well now, and you don't need 3 stars. We kind of saw that with the Nuggets. I mean, they have 2 stars, I would say, but they have a really deep bench. And their team's just so solid. I don't think you need 3 stars anymore. We kind of saw that in this playoffs.
Well, and I also think if you look at the Miami Heat, dude, they have like 1.5 stars at best. And a bunch of, I mean, their role players are the guys that are undrafted. Like, so I think, well, one, I think the front office in Miami deserves a ton of credit because you've taken a team that's horrendous on paper to 2 finals in the last 3 years, or 2 finals in the last 4 years, right? But I mean, just spectacular. But I mean, Jimmy Butler against the Bucks was spectacular. I mean, unconscious. But I think that I'm going to go off on a limb here. I think he got too much credit for what he did these playoffs because even against Boston, I thought he was pathetic. I mean, several games, it's like late in the game, he's missing big shots that's like not, an uncontested jumper essentially. Against Denver, he was pathetic. I mean, take a look at that game 5, right? He has 9 points on 13 shots from the floor. And then, I mean, he scores 9 in a row at the end. And everyone's like, oh, Jimmy Butler kept him in the game, almost won the game for him. Well, the only reason they weren't up by 15 in that game was because he was pathetic the first 3 quarters. So he's a great player. He's a really tough player. And I do still believe the conspiracy that he's Michael Jordan's son, but we won't get into that. But I just think he gets a little bit too much credit. But I do agree with you that Giannis injury changed the entire playoffs because I think I speak for most of the NBA fans when I say that a Milwaukee-Denver finals would have been significantly more entertaining to watch. But I do want to focus on these Nuggets, dude, because, so you're the 1 seed in the West, I think a top 4 record in the NBA, which is interesting as well, that there's 3 teams in the East better than the Nuggets. Yeah. But Jokic maybe should have won MVP, right? I think that Embiid complained his way to the MVP award. So he thought that was a win, I'm sure, because he played pretty rough in the playoffs. But Jokic then gets the finals MVP. How do you rate Jokic's playoffs performance, this playoff run by Jokic on a scale 1 to 10?
Yeah, so I'd say a 10. And the reason I say that, one of the most dominant, I would argue that it was as dominant of a playoff run as maybe since like Lakers Shaq. I mean, he could not be stopped. Rebounds, points, assists. If you are a believer of the triple double, he has the most triple doubles in a single playoffs in NBA history, and he has it by 2 triple doubles now, 3 triple doubles, something like that.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that he led the entire playoffs in points, rebounds, and assists individually. Yeah. That's just spectacular in and of itself, right?
Like, honestly, it's not as crazy. And I'm talking from a big standpoint when I say Shaq. Obviously, LeBron's playoff runs with the Cavs were otherworldly.
Right.
But from the center position, I'm saying, you know, we don't see bigs that can pass very well. They are getting better. Shout out Sengun from the Rockets. He was a prop bet legend this past year. But yeah, so usually centers aren't dishing the ball out like that. And to have a center who really isn't that athletic, really isn't that, I don't know, like he is physically imposing, but he's big, but everybody else is just as big as him in reality.
As far as height wise, yes.
As height wise, yes, that's what I'm saying. He's not 7'4", he's not 7'3", but the way he moves his body, the way he's coordinated, the way his IQ of the game. I mean, we talked about this earlier. I think he's one of like the top 10 centers ever now, and he's inching his way up.
I have him at 6.
Yeah, it's like the Giannis thing. Giannis won a title. Now he's with the big boys. Like Luka needs to win a title, be with the big boys. Jokic won a title.
Tatum needs to be. Yep. Like you have all these guys that. Yeah, and that was the argument against Jokic winning repeating the MVP, right? Is that why would we let him give him a third MVP if he hasn't proven himself in the playoffs yet, right? And he said, fine, give him be the MVP. I'll go prove myself in the playoffs. And absolutely just did. But yeah, I have him number 6 all time. I debated 5. I'm not going to lie, with Hakeem. But, you know, I did end up going Hakeem. Hakeem has, you know, 2 finals MVPs. He only has 1 regular season MVP, but he also is heads and shoulders above Jokic on the defensive end. So there's just you give and you take, right? I mean, Hakeem averaged 2.5 assists across his career, whereas Jokic on his career is at 7 right now, and that number's only going to increase. So I do think that each player has its own perks, but I have Jokic at 6 right now. If he goes and does what he did this year, next year again, he might be 4. I mean, he is on the rise and fast right now.
Yeah, and I think that the crazy part is he has 4 or 5 more years of prime left. And really with the way that he plays, his prime could be longer because he doesn't really rely on athleticism. You know what I mean? It's really just skill and IQ.
Yeah. Well, I think the funny thing is too is how commonly people are like, Jokic is so out of shape. You know, when he gets to the playoffs, he's going to struggle. And he played like 42 minutes a game. And also, I think it's just hilarious to see these guys go into Denver, right? Bam Adebayo, super in shape center, goes into Denver and can't hang with Jokic because Jokic is in better shape than him, despite being 6'11", 280, right? It's probably more like 7 foot 300 realistically, right? But people still, you know, there's this misconception, oh, he's out of shape. He's not athletic. He's not at all. You know, that's completely true. But he's just so smart. And the thing that's scary to me with this Denver Nuggets team is that on the season, you had your 2 best 3-point shooters in KCP and Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter never passed the rock Jr. Where they were 42 and 41, maybe 43 and 42. But both 41% plus from 3-point range. Those 2 were 26% out of KCP in the finals and 14% at MPJ in the finals. To put that in perspective, Ben Simmons' career, he shoots 14% from 3. Like,
what is 1 for 7?
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably 2 for 14.
2 for 14. Yeah.
That's unbelievable. That's stupid.
I didn't realize MPJ only shot 14% in the finals. I know he was bad. I didn't know 14% is bad. Bad.
Like, I would say you could do that, but you could do better than that. I might be able to do that.
Yeah, the thing about that is you got to think about the volume. I mean, that means he's going 6 for 42, probably. I mean, like something just crazy.
He was 4 for 28 is what he ended up.
I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, I watched him play in person this year. That dude hit 4 threes in a row and it didn't even touch the net. So for him to go that cold, that's just a mental thing. I mean, that was a complete thing. And the good part is his 2-star teammates did not shoot 14% from 3. They balled out.
Yeah. Well, the thing that's just crazy is Jokic is around the rim unstoppable, right? I mean, there's maybe like one or two centers in the league that can even come close to defending him, right? I mean, Rudy Gobert is probably the best big guy defender. And, there's that story where, he's like, hey, I got Jokic. And Jokic turns and says, well, I have 48 right now. Like, um, I still love that quote too, by the way. I'm just imagining that with a thick Serbian accent. Somebody
Yeah.
saying I have 48 right now. But so he's unguardable in the post if you don't double team him. And when he shoots 46%, which is what he shot in the finals from three, because you can't get up on him because he's got handles enough to actually like pick you apart. So it's just dangerous, dude.
It's borderline unstoppable. And especially if he has shooters around him, even if they're bad, even if like say MPJ shot bad in the finals, right? Doesn't really matter because the spacing is there. Like MPJ could be higher. I mean, the spacing is still there. Like it doesn't matter if he's not shooting well. You're still going to get Jokic in a one-on-one down low. And I want to know his field goal percentage from like 2 feet and in. It's got to be over like 85%.
Well, I bet it's significantly lower than that, but I bet if you took out the shots that he misses but gets his own offensive rebound, I bet it's like 90%. Because he does miss a lot of tips, but then like we'll get the second tip.
Like, throughout the entire throughout the entire playoffs, I can't tell you on like the times I remember on one hand that if he was 1-on-1 and he did like a little hook shot that he missed. I mean, they always go in. They always go in. And he's just so deadly. And Jamal Murray. I mean, Jamal Murray was the assist king in the finals. Like he kind of took over the assists and that kind of like that playmaker role.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked really good, actually.
Well, I think part of the reason that he did is because the Heat were like, we are going to force Jokic to shoot. So they would run the pick and roll, and Jokic would catch the ball anywhere between 15 and 24 feet out, right? And Adebayo's not respecting him. And Jokic would just, he was completely fine with just being butter from mid-range and three. And the Heat were like, we just have to live with it. And this is the part that I think is –
when you live with that, he's hitting him, it's over.
Yeah, no, it is. Because Aaron Gordon's going to get his dunks. Somebody on the team is going to hit some threes, whether it's Jamal. Bruce Brown came up. Christian Brown in the playoffs. Let's talk about him real quick. Holy smokes, dude. As a rookie.
He's good. He's really – and for a guy that wasn't in the rotation the last half of the – really, like the last quarter of the year and didn't play a ton of minutes early in the playoffs, he came up really big. I really like him as kind of like a role player. I could see him turning into like a KCP type. I know KCP earlier in his career was like actually really good, like 16, 17 a game. I don't know if he could do that in the NBA, but he's one heck of a role player.
I think he could, dude. He shoots the ball. My thing is this too. You think about like the slump that you see guys normally go into as rookies at the 3-point line because it's significantly further back, right? Like guys that are lights out, like someone like Quentin Grimes in college was lights out with Houston, right? And he gets drafted by New York. First year shoots like 27%. And this year he was at like 30, mid 30s, I think. So like if we see that jump out of Christian Brown next year, it's going to be dangerous because he plays really gritty on the defensive end. I know I'm going to sound like a broken record saying this about him. Gritty on the defensive end. He's always just in the right position defensively, dude. He's the guy that's taking charges, getting steals, getting tips on passes, getting put back dunks in the correct, time, right? So I could see him feeling like a Derek White type of role for the next year or two, but I could see him progressing into significantly more than that.
I absolutely could too. It's just going to be interesting to see what he does with more volume. I mean, he's either going to rocket or he's going to kind of plateau. So it's going to be kind of nice to see next year. I really hope. You think he'll get KCP's minutes next year or eat into the rotation a little bit?
Well, Bruce Brown's testing free agency, so I don't
think Bruce Brown's coming back.
I don't think so either. He's going to get a bag somewhere. For a role player, he's going to get a really big bag. I'm praying it's Detroit actually, but I think Christian Brown will take a lot of those minutes, like nearly all of them, and you're just gonna have to kind of backfill Christian Brown's minutes with like somebody to come in to play 10 to 12, which I think is gonna be really easy. But he's going to be dangerous next year. But I do want to focus on Nuggets next year. So Phoenix goes out. We're not specifically talking about the trades here, but they go out and get Bradley Beal, right? And we saw that team was the biggest threat to Denver this year. Do you think Phoenix can knock off the Denver Nuggets, or do you think the Nuggets go back and win the Western Conference again next year?
Well, I mean, let's think about this logically here. In that Nuggets and Denver series, it was electric. I mean, some of those games were 65 to 62 a half. I mean, those games were really, really fun to watch. Kind of the antithesis of what ended up being the finals. The finals were really freaking boring.
Yes.
Like, I mean, the Heat scored over 91 points only once or twice. It was it was kind of boring, but yeah. So I don't think anybody can guard KD. I think it's gonna be hard to guard Booker because he's just gonna keep getting better. It's gonna be hard to guard Phil, but the problem is, who in the heck is gonna guard Jokic? I think they're gonna trade Ayton. So Jock Landale is not going to hold Jokic to anything under 50, 20. Like, it's just
well, even Ayton, I mean, barely would, right? I mean, Ayton this year looked, pathetic against. Now on the offensive end, he was good. On the offensive end, he was good. But
like Bam was. Like, it's if you're athletic, you can score on Jokic, but if you're light underneath, you're not there. You don't have a chance.
And I will give Jokic, a lot of credit. Defensively in the playoffs, he was exceptional. He gave up his fair share of points to Ayton and Bam, but I also think if you look at the field goal percentage Bam shot, it was very, very poor for somebody that does not shoot threes at all. And so the offensive strategy when you play Denver is attack Jokic, right? Even if you're not scoring, make him work. And so to have the opposing center score 20 a game is probably really average because they're shooting 20 to 25 times a game. So, absolutely. I mean, he defensively was very good. I think somewhere between like 3 and 4 blocks and steals combined per game. I mean, just really, really good defensively. But dude, this Denver Nuggets team might be starting a dynasty.
It's hard to see because Jokic is 28. Jamal Murray's young. Michael Porter Jr. is young. If his back stays healthy, I mean, it's going to be really hard to knock them off. Really, even with the Suns having Booker, Beal, and Durant.
Well, see, here's the thing too: is that Denver drafted their entire team. So you look at, except Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon they traded for, right, with the Magic a couple of years ago. But which hats off to the Denver front office again because he's the perfect player to play with Jokic. But you look at this Denver team as we're trying to wrap things up here. You have Jokic drafted in the second round, right? To undebatably the best value of draft pick ever, and that probably will never be broken. You have Jamal Murray, who was drafted, I believe, like 9th overall. Maybe not. I don't know. I'll fact check myself real quick. But and then you have Michael Porter Jr., who's drafted, I believe, 14th overall. And so you draft your entire core, right? You go out and you get Bruce Brown. You go out and you draft Christian Brown, right? So all of these guys pick 7th by Jamal Murray. So all of these guys have been drafted. Clearly your front office knows what they're looking for. Also hats off to the front office because Michael Malone's been there for 8 years and did not win a championship until now. And we see what teams around the league are doing to coaches who don't win them championships, right? Which is just pathetic. But I'm okay with it. Pistons got Monty Williams out of it.
Heck of a hire.
Yeah, and no kidding. But, dude, I mean, this is going to be dangerous because you're putting together an extremely good GM with an extremely good team culture and a really good head coach and the most dominant player in the league right now.
Yeah, and as we wrap up, that's kind of the point that I want to hit home is like, it's, how sometimes when the U.S. creates a team and we play, Serbia or Slovakia or Slovenia and the U.S., it's because they've been playing together for 8 years. They've been playing together for 5+ years. It's not just an assembled talent that was created 4 months ago through a trade. So I think that's the big thing about Denver is their chemistry playing together is unmatched. I mean, the only people that have more chemistry than the Nuggets, I would say at this point, are the Warriors. That core 3.
Mhm.
So I think that's something that will definitely help them. It'll be interesting to see if they can like have that fire to repeat. But to be honest, I don't know if they like. I saw that super fire this year. I think they were just like really talented.
Yeah. Well, I don't, dude. It's just gonna be. I have a hard time seeing this Denver Nuggets team lose in
Oh,
next year. Be pre-finals. I think someone from the East could knock
yeah,
them off, right?
I think. But
Obviously,
yeah, I think them against the Bucks would be one of the best finals. Probably, I mean, since Warriors Cavs.
yeah. Yeah, Bucks Phoenix was a really good finals too. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I also I think the Celtics are a huge shout too now. I think Porzingis. I did see Tatum's not a huge fan of Porzingis coming, but I think Porzingis is a good fit for him. Like a really good fit for them. So I do think that could be interesting. But dude, what we're seeing is, do you remember bubble Jamal Murray?
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, he was
Like,
scoring 40, 50.
yes, and then obviously horrendous, like horrific injury, right?
Mhm.
And he's just now hitting his like groove again. Like at the beginning of this season, he was pretty rough.
Yep.
And then has started to find his groove as he like this is his first full regular season played since that. And so this is going to be his like first off season since that where he's not worried about getting healthy. He's worried about like what aspects of my game do I need to
Yep.
advance, right?
Yep.
And for him, I think it's getting to the rim and being efficient around the rim. But if he gets to the point where he's efficient around the rim and is progressing his game as opposed to getting it back to the level where it was, dude, this Denver Nuggets, we could be looking at like a Kobe Shaq duo. I'm not talking all time Jamal Murray's going to be as good as Kobe. I'm saying the dynamic,
Yeah.
you know, the versatility, the ability
Yeah.
to just dominate games as a duo could be the same level. I mean, it's going to be really fun to watch in the next coming
It's
years.
going to be really fun. I think they come out of the but we don't know. It's way too early. So
Yeah, who knows what's going to happen in free agency, right?
Yeah.
But I will say that if you ask me right now who's going to win the West for the next 5 years, I think Denver wins it. Minimum 3 of them. Minimum 3.
Yeah, if they're healthy, I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah. Obviously, yeah. Hoping everybody stays healthy, but we will have more to come. Free agency opens up in 2 or 3 days, which is just going to be hectic. Obviously, NFL's around the corner, dude. I'm counting the days down. We will have you and Mr. Cam Bordner back on for fantasy football and mock drafts, dude. And we still haven't broken down the NFL draft, so we got to do winners and losers from that too. There's a ton of stuff to do, and we will have that probably weekly now. Is what we're going to shoot for over the next 2 months as we're settled in. So, any closing comments here as we wrap this up?
Yeah, no, nothing much. Excited for free agency. One really quick thing. Something for our listeners to look out for. If Draymond is on the team, their taxes are 70 mil. Or sorry, if he's off the team, they have to pay 70 million in taxes. And if he's on the team, they have to pay 260 million. So for our listeners and our viewers, just look out for that over the next couple weeks.
Yeah. So if nobody signs Draymond, that's why.
Yes.
But good point there. But we will have more stuff. Probably weekly. We're going to try to shoot for maybe every Tuesday. We might even go Tuesday, Friday. We might start doing double uploads, but we'll see here coming up. But other than that, this has been the Sports Geeks podcast. They play, we talk. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.